What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily. Maybe. No? What's happening?
Just keep going.
It's black? We're just
Everything's
the
black.
screen's black. That's fine. I don't want it.
I'm
Kevin's fixing the black
But they
screen.
can hear
Nobody
us,
needs you.
though.
They can hear us. If you're an audio listener, nothing's changed for you except I fucked up my intro for no reason.
It's a good reason.
I'm gonna wait till I can be seen.
I have
and then
a
go from
vantage
there.
point of
Yeah.
the screen, and I just saw the intro go black.
Yeah.
Now here we are.
Oh, we're up now?
We're
What's
now.
up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Friday, July 27th, 2018. I'm one of
Days
your
away
hosts.
from August, Greg. What?
Today, Jen and I looked at the calendar and then flipped the page and we're like, oh my God, like this is just like, how does this happen? You know
How
what I
does
mean?
it happen?
Here's what I want to say. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside at Tim Geddes.
That's
Or
amazing.
from now on, Baby Blues, Tim Geddes.
Baby blues.
No, we don't call him that, Kevin. No, if you're a viewer, an audio listener, you are a child of some degree. You know what I mean? You're young. You're a young person. Hold on to the days.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being a kid and being like, this is going so slow. I can't believe that I have to wait full 3 episodes of Batman the Animated Series till mom will come pick me up from grandma's or whatever. And I
Yeah.
understand we probably don't have listeners that young. We curse way too much for that. But in general, even in college, the amount of time, how slow a day was, you know what I mean? In a good way most of the time. Embrace that.
How long a semester
Enjoy all the
lasted.
fucking free time. Yeah. I can't believe it's August.
Go
It's
throw
gonna be
some
August.
water balloons.
Yeah,
Now,
but
of
this is
course-
so much better, dude. Life is so cool. And
Life is
Life is
fucking
really
cool.
cool as an adult. We have a million opportunities. Everything's amazing. Goddamn. Thank you so much for making Kinda Funny awesome. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's.
We don't have time to say
What is it? It's. Fuck. Kevin, help me out. You're smart with quotes sometimes. I'm trying to say.
Take time to smell the flowers.
Youth is wasted on the young. That's it. Youth is wasted. You know what I mean?
Life moves pretty fast.
Yeah. If you don't slow down and smell the roses, Ferris Bueller. Womp womp.
His ass is so tight. If you put a piece of coal in it, it would turn into a diamond. You didn't know where I was going with that.
I didn't. I forgot that line from Ferris Bueller.
quote.
I like Ferris Bueller. I just don't know it that well. But you fucking know Ferris Bueller. Congrats to you.
I probably misquoted that.
That's close enough. Don't worry about it. No, don't do that. That's the kind of stuff we don't. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show. KindaFunny.com/KFGD with your questions, comments, bad PSN names, and everything else under the video game sun. Then tune in to watch us record it live. Twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to KindaFunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we get wrong as we get it wrong so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames or listening on podcast services around the globe. Housekeeping for you. What?
Do you think the video game son is the angry son from Mario 3?
100%. That is what I envision. I
Yeah.
think that is the definitive son, right? That was the first time where we were like, man, the son's got a personality and it's a dick.
Yeah, he's coming.
Coming in
That
hot.
explains all the sunburns.
It does. Yeah, the son's a bitch sometimes. Here's the thing. I don't think I really appreciated the son for a long time. And then, of course, and I'm sure you know this one, the fucking seminal DC Comics event, Final Night, where the Sun Eater came and put out the sun. And then I was like, oh man, the sun does a lot of good stuff for the earth.
Yeah.
Probably need that sun to stick
Almost
around.
as good as the moon if the moon just disappeared.
Don't get him started. Housekeeping for you. It is party mode week. Even though the week is over, I suggest you go watch Nidhogg 2's party mode where I summon Satan. Remember, party mode is our Let's Play series.
That's a
Multiplayer
sentence.
fun times over on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames. We are well aware that our podcast numbers dwarf our YouTube numbers. So we're asking all audio listeners to go over and give party mode a chance on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames.
Join the party. You're invited.
There you go. Perfect. Then it's Kinda Funny summer break next week. There is no Kinda Funny morning show. There is no Kinda Funny Games Daily. Instead, we will not actually be taking that much time off. We're going to chill out a little bit, do shows in the morning, get ahead on party mode, get ahead on XCU and review, and then we're off to RTX. Remember, if you're in the Austin area, come to RTX. KindaFunny.com/RTX has all the panels, the autograph sessions, and the news about Nick's comedy documentary premiering at RTX. We're very excited.
3 separate events we're doing next week that are all around RTX. But we have Let's Play Live, we
Yeah.
have RTX,
Yeah.
and we have Kind of Funny Comedy Night.
And we have panels and stuff too at RTX.
Well, that's RTX.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying things outside of the
They're
traditional
they're
RTX.
3 separate ticketed things.
Gotcha.
I know the comedy show is sold out, but Let's Play Live. If you're not interested in RTX, you just want to see some fun Let's Play stuff.
Yeah.
That's a separate thing. So you can just do that.
It's a good place to shake our hands, kiss our babies. I have breaking news that I haven't even informed you
What?
of as well.
Oh my God.
I don't know what this means for you, the Austin resident, but we have added a special guest to RTX from Kinda Funny. Portillo the Wiener Dog will be in Austin being too hot and probably chilling in the hotel room most of the time. But you can probably see him at the panel on Sunday, I imagine.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting, says Joey Noel. Today's sponsor is Hims and MeUndies, but I'll talk about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 4 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
And some rather interesting and long ones as well. First, we're going to start with this one.
That's what she said.
Whoa! Hayden Taylor over at gamesindustry.biz wrote the following, summarizing what's going on with one of those Quantic Dream court cases. And basically, Quantic Dream lost in this whole thing of them being a toxic studio. I don't like doing this, as listeners and viewers know. I'm going to read the entire article here because there's so much information I feel it's needed. So please go over to gamesindustry.biz, click on Hayden Taylor's article about this, give him a view, or just hit him up and say, hey, check out gamesindustry.biz, support him on Patreon, like, subscribe, share, smash the bell. Hayden begins. The courts have dealt a blow to developer Quantic Dream, ruling in favor of a former employee who left the company due to a toxic workplace culture. Earlier this year, damning articles exposing alleged homophobia, racism, and sexism at Quantic Dream appeared in 3 different French publications. Included in the Canard PC, Mediapart, and Le Monde articles were copies of photoshopped images, they tag it NSFW, not safe for work, which circulated around the studio of different staff members superimposed into sexual scenes or dressed as Nazis. It was these images which prompted the employee to leave the company. Studio head David Cage fervently denied the allegations, decrying the reports as a smear campaign and even filing a lawsuit against 2 of the 3 publications. As reported by Eurogamer, the case revolves around a piece of French employment law, Prise d'Acte, and I'm sorry, Jen, if you're watching, I know I butchered that, which allows an employee who terminates their own contract to petition for unfair dismissal. The caveat, however, is that until the case is tried and a ruling is made, the employee receives none of their employment rights or salary. Essentially, the employee's decision to leave has now been ruled as unfair dismissal, complete with the afforded rights. Game cult journalist Nicholas Tersev said on Twitter, at Quantic_Dream has just lost an industrial court case against one of the employees at the heart of the case of the photo montages of the beginning of the year. This is translated. Of course, Haydn on gamesindustry.biz has the Nicholas tweet right there. So I'm sure that's why some of the verbiage is interesting here. The act of breaking this is back to the Twitter. The act of breaking a contract of employment has been reclassified as dismissal without real and serious cause. The studio can appeal. Turvik also notes that 2 other former employees had their cases for wrongful dismissal denied by the courts. One of them is appealing. I don't know where to discuss this. Obviously, when this broke before Detroit, when Detroit was getting closer, there was a lot of conversation of like, oh wow, like what exactly was the harassment? What exactly made it toxic? Mm-hmm. Of course, tied our wrists in a lot of ways that it was in a foreign language for us. So you're getting translations. I'm seeing different things, different places. Then it was interesting to see David Cage and Quantic Dream be like, this is bullshit. We've already been investigated before and we were fine there. We're going to fight this. We're going to sue them when the Detroit was getting toured around overseas, someone walked into the thing and immediately asked like, oh, so what's going on with that? And PR tried to stop, and David Cage was like, we are suing them. We are in court to sue the publications for defamation. It's interesting then that, okay, sure, that's happening, but today the courts, or at least recently, the courts have ruled right in favor of one of those person, but then also dismissed 2 of the other cases. It's such a complex, weird issue that's happening in another country, in another language, that makes it so hard to be there. But I wanted to make sure we're giving you guys, listeners and viewers of Kinda Funny Games Daily, as much of the updates as we're getting. Because I don't want this to be that it happened, we talked about it, and when it was like, well, it's he said, she said, who knows what's happening? There's movement on it, things are changing, and that's where we're at.
This isn't clear to me. It's all the wording, and also just some of this doesn't make sense.
Sure.
So the case revolves around a piece of French employment law that allows an employee who terminates their own contract to petition for unfair dismissal.
Right.
So you can quit because you feel like you're being treated poorly, and then kind of call them out for essentially forcing you to be let go.
So the idea, as I understand it from just this article alone, would be that if I'm at a toxic workplace, or let's remove that. If I quit a company, the company doesn't owe me anything. As in the inverse being that if I was laid off or I get, and I don't want to use fire, but if I was laid off or something like that, they still owe me money because holy shit, I just lost my job and I didn't expect it. If I'm quitting, if I'm vanilla quitting, I'm owed nothing because I'm making that choice. I'm moving on to something else. However, if I'm quitting because holy shit, it's a living nightmare here, people are toxic, this sucks, yada, yada, yada. Then when I get out and I'm owed nothing, I have to petition the courts to be like, hey, I didn't just quit because fuck the job. I quit because it was bad.
So with this ruling, does that mean that now Quantic Dream needs to pay the like vacation days and like the whatever?
Unclear for us since we're not over there and we're not French law. But yes, whatever would be granted to someone if for the other dismissal, if Quantic Dream dismissed them and they, let's just say for argument, it's you're paid for 6 months while you find new employment. And your benefit, well, you don't need benefits probably over there, right? Whatever. We're the only people who do that. But whatever that deal would be, that deal would be. And so, yeah, now that Quantic Dream, I assume, has to backfill that and give them that amount of money and whatever the other perks would be.
And that would be it? Not more than that? Just...
I would think that would be the end of it unless you're also, you're suing for that and, mental stress and damages or costs incurred through this lawsuit.
Suing is such a weird thing.
Suing is super weird. Yeah.
It's weird.
They should all just go to Judge Judy.
That you can put value on that type of stuff and like actually have dollar amounts and have that
emotional stress.
Yeah, the emotional stress and like trying to figure out like what that is worth and how it's different for each person, and then go to a judge and have a jury decide whether or not you were correct in assessing that. Like,
So fascinating thing. We'll continue to keep track of it. I'm going to be interested to see, Quantic Dream has been so outspoken on this, right? In terms of releasing giant statements, David Cage saying things on his own. I'm going to be interested to see what they say about this. And then also, what happens with these appeal cases. But interesting that, apparently, at least in French law right now, they're behind the complainant, or is that what you call them? Complainant? Plaintiff. That's what I'm looking for. We will continue to watch. We will continue to see. What a shitty situation. Everybody be better to each other. Don't be bad, people.
Don't be bad.
Number 2, NBA Live 19 is adding female players for the first time. I'm pulling this straight from the EA Sports press release. EA Sports today revealed that for the first time in a basketball video game, fans will be able to create female players in NBA Live 19. The inclusion of female players is an important step toward leveling the playing field, providing gamers increased opportunities to express their unique individuality and create a reflection of themselves while competing in the game. This new feature follows last year's introduction of the WNBA's full roster in the NBA Live franchise, also a video game first. Players will be able to create female characters and take them around the world in the One. That's their story mode. Building their squad, taking on global challenges, and assessing. Maybe I'm making an assumption there that the One is their story mode. I think it is. Building their squad, taking on global challenges, and accessing the same skills, progression, and gear as their male counterpoints. Men and women can also play together on the same team in the One. Maybe that's not story mode. Kindoffunny.com/live. Wrong. Female gamers will also be able to scan their faces using the NBA Live companion app, parentheses iOS and Android, and import them onto their customized players. Furthermore, NBA Live 19 will introduce new icon abilities modeled after some of the greatest female ballers of all time, including Candace Parker and others.
I wonder if Lisa Leslie will be in there.
She has to be.
She was featured in an episode of The Jersey on Nintendo. Or not Nintendo, on Disney Channel.
I don't know how how did you bring up the Jersey on consecutive days? Back to back, you've brought this up in this office. I don't understand how that's possible. Oh, that's awesome. I think that's great. I think it's yet another thing of last year with WNBA, EA, of course, is behind 2K. They have to try to catch up and make NBA Live matter in a world that is dominated by 2K's NBA game. So making these things and getting different people in and trying to appeal to, hey, here's how our game is different is always positive. Santos L. Sorry, you made me laugh. Santos L. Halper, a great Simpsons reference, writes in to KFGD and says, "Good day, Greg and all. With some previews of NBA Live 19 dropping today, I'd like to take a minute to big up EA for adding female created players. I know it's cool to hate EA, but I think we need to applaud them when they do something right or do new things in genres. Even though Live is looked at as inferior game to 2K, I believe they are doing new creative things at EA and listening to player feedback. Since the hardcore gamer doesn't play sports game, do you think this forward thinking will be overlooked since it's EA? Last year, I feel the inclusion of the WNBA in their games was pushed to the side / looked over because it's an EA game and because they are in second place compared to 2K. I don't think it's going to make crazy wave, Santos. I think it's a cool thing. I think it's an awesome addition. I think it benefits a number of very talented, or not even talented, let's say. There's a number of WNBA/female basketball fans, right? That's a big part. And I think it's cool to see that representation, because representation matters, and I'm glad to see people making those moves. I don't think it's something that's going to be brought up a lot. I remember on the show reading the WNBA news last year and then forgetting all about it. And then, but again, I'm also not the guy who's giving 2K a lot of props for everything else.
If anything, I feel like this is a good step towards, if 2K is the dominant one, then they're going to probably respond eventually. Yeah. Sooner than later, and be like, you know what, hey, we should have that as well. Yeah. And it's just kind of these like steps towards a better future. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you're playing a game, you want to be able
I just can't believe NBA Live's still happening.
Well, remember, it didn't happen for so long. Yeah. NBA Live, you know what I mean?
NBA Elite.
There's so many things I see in the video game industry, and I'm like, man, I would love a no-clip documentary about that. I would love a no-clip documentary about NBA Live. When it finished the NBA Live game, we had review copy in the IGN office, and they're like, you know what, we're canceling that game. It's not coming out. And it's like, what? Are you kidding? Is that? And then it was like they took years off, and then they came back, and because it seemed like for a while they were just going to let 2K have it, and then they came back with this commitment that they were going to get in. I was like, all right, man, go get them, do what you can. So here they are making waves and moves now, but I'm not, versed enough to tell you how much it matters and how NBA Live last year was received or anything to that effect, or if it's, put a dent in 2K's player base. But yeah, like you're saying, competition is good. I like the idea that this move makes 2K go, oh, fuck, maybe we do need to do that. We'll see. Number 3, a very interesting one that I think is a non-news story kind of, but we'll explain as we discuss. The Escapist is relaunching and apparently leaving politics behind. This is a media post over there from Russ Pitts. Now, let me walk you through this. So, The Escapist. It's a brand that's been around forever, right, Tim?
I do. I don't know that everyone does, though.
I think if you're watching Kind of Funny Games Daily, probably, right? You've heard of The Escapist? You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Andrea worked there, and then Steve Butts ran it for a while, and then Jim Sterling started there.
I feel like The Escapist is one of those like kind of weird mid-tier sites. Sure. That you have to be real. It's like gamesindustry.biz, where it's like, until you know about that, you don't know about it.
What was the other? Angry Brit, wasn't he on there too?
There was the...
Yahtzee?
What's his name? Yahtzee.
That's what I'm thinking.
Zero punctuation.
Yeah, that's what it was. My apologies.
There's like... I feel like there's a lot of
breakout successes from
Escapist that, like, if you are familiar with those, then you
so then let me give you even more. Escapist was a website that talked about video games and had video stuff up there that I, full disclosure, never went to, never thought about. I know really little about the Escapist in general.
There was a ton of stuff I really liked on it. They did they funded a Super Smash Brothers Brawl live action like series that went on for like 12 episodes. And it was fucking awesome. Brawl in the Family, I think it was called. There Will Be Brawl. There Will Be Brawl is the name of it. Brawl in the Family is a comic. But that got me into Escapist, and I started looking at then Zero Punctuation and all that stuff, the reviews. And then I Jim Sterling was on it for a while. That's where
you got the Jimquisition originally.
Yeah, because I originally like paid attention to him when he was doing the Destructoid stuff way back in the day. Yeah. And then I was interested in the Escapist, but I kind of just... I didn't like the layout of the site. Yeah. And I was like, whatever.
So here's the one. Oh, hey. How are you? We have a guest in the office. Can I say who you are? Oh, Alana Pierce is here to go to lunch with Joey. It's very exciting.
Yay.
I wish I get to go to lunch with Alana ever, but never. You know what I mean? That's probably the most I'm ever going to say to her. I missed my chance being on this stupid show. So here's the rundown. In a brief synopsis. Escape has been around a long time. Defy Media bought Escapist, then according to Russ Pitts, who's now the EIC of Escapist, neglected it. At the end of 2017,
Defy neglected a company it acquired?
Crazy.
I can't believe it.
Crazy. At the end of 2017, Russ Pitts learns that it's for sale. Of course, Russ Pitts used to work at Escapist and run it there. Then he went to Polygon, helped found Polygon, and then he's just a man about town all the time. Russ learns it's for sale, then starts looking into it, but then finds out somebody's about to buy it, Enthusiast Gaming. He partners with Enthusiast Gaming, and now he's the EIC of the Escapist. So then he puts up this post on Medium yesterday, right? Running through all of that, talking about what the Escapist started as, what it was when he left it, that it kind of got super political, he says. I know nothing about this, that it was like pulling towards political extremes on both ends and getting not to be what it was about, what it was supposed to be. Defy buys it, neglected, yada, 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 yada. Now they're bringing it back. Russ is the IC. They're assembling a team. This is the paragraph that launched 1,000 million tweets yesterday. One thing I can tell you, this is Russ, without any delay or equivocation, Equivocation. We're leaving politics at the door. Most of us have thoughts about politics, just like most of you. And because we're creators, those thoughts might show up in our work. Avoiding that would be unnatural. That said, I can promise you no one here will share their politics in an attempt to convince you yours are wrong. And your worth will not be calculated based on whether you're on the left or on the right. Politics are everywhere, but they don't have to be everything. We're going to focus on what's fun, and we hope you'll join us in that. There's an update that I'm going to pull from games industry.biz in a second, which is just from Russ's Twitter that I would have missed. We were filming nonstop yesterday. I came out of hibernation eventually, looked at Twitter and saw Austin Walker with a multi-thread about this, Jason Schreier talking about this. And I was like, wait, what has happened? And it wasn't until I got home and got to read the post where, and I'm not criticizing Jason or Austin or anybody, I felt like it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, not you'rewrong.com. I read this and felt like it was being blown out of proportion. I think that and this is me not knowing the Escapist beforehand, but reading Russ's post about what the Escapist apparently had become in terms of political extremes and all these different things. And I forget what he calls it, but like basically, people's soapboxes to preach one way or the other. It read to me as that's not what they're going to be. There'll still be politics in it, but it's not going to be that they're going to come up and be like, let me tell you why you should or shouldn't like Donald Trump. Let me and try to tie that to video games.
I don't think it's that direct. I think it's more like opinion pieces, like the Kingdom Come stuff or the Last of Us 2 trailer.
Okay.
Like that type of
that's what it is.
Of games, not actually politics.
Yeah. I didn't know. Somebody who doesn't know or understand what had happened to the Escapist, I didn't understand it. And when he goes into this, we're leaving politics at the door, right? Bye, Alana Pierce. Have a good lunch. Wish I could come. Nobody fights me. Oh, the door got slammed with. We're leaving politics at the door. Most of us have thoughts about politics, just like you. And because we're creators, those thoughts might show up in our work. Mm-hmm. So you're saying it's going to neuter out the I saw the Last of Us trailer and I hate that they have Ellie kissing, or I love that Ellie has kissing.
That's what I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or like Far Cry 5, I think is a good example.
Okay.
Kind of the pieces written about what the story should or shouldn't have been.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Instead, it's going to be more just conversation of what the story is. My take on this is it's definitely their right to come out and do this.
Well, can I drop in the update real quick before I want your take on all of this? But yeah, GamesIndustry.biz added this in their report that I saw. Update. Pitts issued a follow-up series of tweets responding to the criticism, noting that, quote, leaving politics at the door did not mean apolitical. As he put it, quote, Escapist magazine will certainly address topics that have a political connection. We will definitely not do so in a way that intentionally exacerbates a culture war. And yes, that's going to be a fine needle to thread, end quote.
I think that there is obviously an audience that is very loud that says, leave your politics at the door. We want to hear about games. And I feel like trying to serve that group, even though I don't think like that's not something I'm interested in. I think that's something.
There's an audience there for that.
There's definitely an audience for it. And they're trying to serve them. I think that having that kind of be your mission statement is going to get them in more trouble than it's worth. I feel like that statement alone is doing exactly what they're saying that they're not going to do. Like inherently, that is a political statement saying that, right? And I feel that the group of people that they are targeting with this, there's a lot of overlap with the type of people that get outraged and upset about things. And if they see something that they feel is too political, will make a big stink about it, right?
Sure.
In a way that maybe they wouldn't have if this wasn't their.
I would say that on both sides of it, right? There's a lot of people who get outraged and upset about
it. Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure we're painting
what's funny about this is I'm saying outrage, not in the snowflakey sense. I'm talking about the other side. The people that get outraged at outrage. The right side is what I'm talking about. Okay. Which is hilarious. That's where we're at. But I in terms of what you're asking me about Austin Walker and Jason Schreier of like, are they blown out of proportion? No, I think that they.
Well, I want to make sure I wasn't. I think both of them, their responses and takes on it were metered. Yeah. I was just saying I just wanted to make sure I wasn't calling them names or something as I'm saying. I thought their responses were fun.
I think both of them represent sites that do have a political leaning, and they are proud of that and push that. And their opinion about this is just staying in their lane, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like I don't think that it's blown out of proportion. I feel like they'd have similar takes about anything that happens, right?
Sure.
is this big news? I don't think so at all. Like, whatever. Who cares? Like, the people that are interested in this are going to go watch The Escapist in the same way that people are interested in us follow us. Like, if people are looking for these type of opinions, that's where they're going to go. Anybody, and there's kind of funny fans, and we've had people come and go over the years because they don't like things that we say or takes that we have.
Of course.
We're going to have those takes. You know, it's like, if you want to be here for that and if you want to have that conversation, we're here for it. Otherwise, I mean, hey, there's other places. There's The Escapist. There's Polygon, there's wherever.
Sure. My question for you then, and in all of this or whatever, is do you feel, so we're using politics not in the Democrat-Republican sense. We're using the politics of games, right? Okay. As you've pointed out in this conversation. Do you feel we're overly political, kind of funny?
I honestly believe that, especially with what you just said, where we're not directly talking about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Yeah, not that. Yeah.
You're just talking about like politics. There's no way you can have an opinion about anything and it's not political.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, there's some leaning there of just who you are and what you believe in your morals. Like, politics at the end of the day are just a way to define certain things so that people can understand what side of something they're on. Okay. Right? And I feel like when we're talking about video games and we're talking about like the stories, I mean, you can even separate story from video game, whether it's a movie or a book or a video game storyline. It's like, there's statements being made, there's subtext happening, and all that subtext, it's political, right? And so do I think that we're overly? No. I feel like we are navigating it and our own views every day.
Yeah, and, cool. I mean, that's all we have. Authenticity is what we traded.
We grow every day and our opinions change over the years, and you learn and talk to different people and hear different things. But it's like, and then when you can read something or watch something and have a completely different take on it that you had before because you have a new moral compass, right? And I feel like that is politics.
This will be among the most naive or uninformed things I've probably ever said in general. So stick with me. I would say like 95% of us talking about games as we do every day on the show, as we do whenever we're on Gamescast or whatever, is usually just right. Like us talking about, oh, I'm playing fucking this and I love that and I love this story and I do that and blah, blah, blah. But then I guess we drift into it. Yeah. Where I'm like, I guess so it's being political when I'm saying like, well, don't use retarded and we shouldn't say crippled like this and we shouldn't use this. That's the politicalization people are talking about. Okay. Because it's that thing of when I pop, like, you know, obviously you're even way more than me, but every day I jump into Reset Era, NeoGAF. I'm on Reddit. I'm on Twitter. I'm trying to gather the news for this show and see what's happening. And so I run into the threads of what people on Reset Era are recommending, what people on GAF are recommending, and this, that, and the other. And the one thing I always universally see is like when people are like one way or the other, whatever spectrum they lean to, right? Of like, or when we come up or something, when somebody doesn't like our content for us being, I guess, liberal, SJWs, all the other horrible things you want to throw out there, these buzzwords that immediately I'm like, all right, whatever. They recommend Easy Allies, and they seem to make it out that Easy Allies is super apolitical or doesn't have a leaning one way or the other. Is that fair to say from what you've consumed from the Allies? Because I feel like they just didn't enable gamer stream yesterday. And
I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's also we have the Game Over Greggy show and the Kind of Funny Morning show where we are giving our takes on
non-gaming stuff. Okay,
that people kind of then can have that, take that, and apply it to. Our gaming stuff in a way that the Easy Allies, they do different things, but usually it's like anime and stuff. It's not like they're not doing shows where they're discussing James Gunn getting fired. And
gotcha.
And if they do, they're not talking about it from the perspective of the morality of it, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
And like I don't want to talk in black and white with them. Like they do talk about a whole bunch of stuff.
And that's the thing too, is like, again, this is what I'm talking about with uninformed and naive, right? Like I love the Allies, right? Huber's awesome, Jones is awesome, Bloodworth's awesome, and then we start getting into the Allies I haven't worked much with, right? And so like in that thread, it was the thing of, well, I forget which ally they brought up, but he's got more, he says this, that, or the other, but like he doesn't like preach or do that. It's just like, not being a consumer of the content other than just being a fan of them and what they do. It's that hard thing for me as an outsider to understand what they're doing and how they would do that, or how that would relate to the Escapist then, even of like what they're going to do in terms of like, again, they're not going to be apolitical. They're just not going to shove it down your throats. But are they saying that? So is that them condemning other sites saying that a Kotaku and a Polygon are shoving it down my throat? Or is it them saying that the Escapist of the past has shoved it down your throat and we're not going to be that anymore? And that's a wait and see, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't really know Russ Pitts at all. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with him. I know his name, but like that's about it. So I don't know which of these is the right answer.
Yeah.
Him being at Polygon before, especially in its early days, kind of, I'm just making an assumption, but I'd assume that it's more based on what other sites are doing than what the Escapist was doing. But yeah, I don't know. It's so funny to me that, and this happens to us constantly because of things like the Game Over Greggy show, where we talk about fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and we talk about
Kids getting separated at the border.
Exactly. And we can be equally non-educated on either of those things. I don't know every type of jelly there is, but that doesn't seem to matter. But if I talk about, and I admit not knowing who exactly it was that instituted this, whatever, because like that's just not the world that I'm in. All of a sudden, it turns into this giant problem of me not knowing what I'm talking about and us all having the same opinion. And it's just so interesting that it turns to politics so quickly, where it is just black and white of like, even if the four of us, Andy included,
yeah,
with Nick, can all have differing opinions about a situation, there's still people that argue that we don't have different viewpoints. And it baffles my mind that just because we don't have somebody that self-defines themselves as conservative, that we don't have the different perspective, even though me and Nick can completely disagree about the James Gunn situation in this aspect or that aspect.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what a conservative person would add to that conversation, because he could agree with either me or Nick, and it wouldn't.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like, I don't know. It's just like,
viewpoints
it's
represented.
Viewpoints are represented, and it's like, why do these labels need to affect?
This is what I was talking about last night with Jen when I came home, and I brought this up or whatever because I was catching up on it while I was talking to her. I'm just like, put the phone down and just be like, I can't fucking believe that video games are here. And I mean that not in a bad way or a good way or whatever, of just like, these are the conversations we're having, right? Where it is that like, video games are too political, or the sites are too political, or it's just, I don't know. I never thought when I was going into, I'm reading EGM, right? And I wanted to do this, that this would be a thing that would be such a through line in the last few years. But I think it's just the crazy cultural war we continue to see in America, I guess, where people are pulled in different directions, and everybody's getting on different sides about different issues, and you know what I mean? Like, I guess it would make sense that it would come here to the art we all enjoy and the stories you're going to read or I should play.
I mean, I don't think that it's a coincidence that it's the entertainment industry as a whole that is seeing a lot of these conversations and seeing a lot of these really bad situations come to light and be addressed head on very loudly.
Yeah.
Perhaps too loudly in some cases, but sometimes that needs to happen in order for people to realize that there's a problem, right? And then the discussions need to happen, and then we need to figure out how to go forward from there. But yeah, you look at movies, you look at video games. It's like, video games have only become more and more similar to the movie industry in terms of the budgets involved, in terms of how many people need to work on the projects, and in terms of when something bad happens, going back to the Quantic Dream, like how many people that could affect.
Yeah.
You go outside of that, and it's crazy because we sit here every day and we are so in a bubble, that bubble being people that care about video games and care about entertainment, care about Marvel movies and X-Men movies, and could sit here and talk about the difference between Jean Grey in the animated show versus comics versus movies, and it all makes sense, right? Then I go out with my friends that I grew up with in San Francisco, and people call that the bubble. But then I have a conversation with them, and I'm like, I cannot believe how much we are disconnected, and how I do not agree with your politics at all when it comes to a multitude of things, right? Sure. And like, they'll say words that I'm like, I can't believe you're saying this, even though they're from where I'm from, right?
Yeah.
They'll like just mention things, or like act a certain way, or like just activities that they will condone. I'm like, that just seems weird. And it's just in different industries where I'm like, man, these conversations aren't happening here. I wonder
the way
if
they're happening with us.
Yes. And it's just like, Yeah, man, video games and politics. And again, it's not necessarily the Donald Trump Clinton type politics.
It's not capital P politics. I see that thrown around a lot. Yeah.
Yes, that's what it is. It's not that, but it's just like it's everywhere. And, I think it's a good thing. I think it's important. And I think that, that it helps you realize how you feel and want to interact with the world in every other way. Sure. And it's, in my opinion, a good thing that entertainment is at the forefront of that, because I saw a lot of people talking about the Escapist, and it's like, oh, so now the Escapist is actually trying to create an escape from this reality and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but and books I think are the best example of it. It's like there's always the subtext. A good book.
Sure. Oh,
there's
always 1984
the subtext,
or whatever. Yeah.
And that's politics, lowercase p.
Yeah.
And that's the type of shit that teaches you something.
Yeah.
And I feel like video games are there, and video game media is there, and entertainment media is there, and all this shit. So.
Yeah, it's just crazy. You can't do anything anymore. Everything it leads back to this, and I don't think, like you're saying, I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it's interesting to watch the world wrestle with it.
Yeah,
the world try to figure out how to make that work.
Fundamentally disagree with what you just said of you can't do anything nowadays. I think you can do anything nowadays, but that's going to have scrutiny.
Sure.
And if you can do anything, that means that other people can do anything. And if Escapist can come out, that means Jason Schreier can come out and be like,
sure.
I feel this.
To clarify, I didn't mean, man, everything you do is going to get you fucking torn apart. I meant it's crazy that we have to think about all of this and political lowercase p views in everything we do. Whereas when I was playing fucking Genesis and Master System, I wasn't. That's what I mean. I don't mean that you can't do anything. You can't fucking just have a white male guy on the cover of a game anymore. I don't mean like that. I'm not saying that shit. I'm saying like, hey, it's just a complicated issue that's invaded our hobbies, that is our lives, that is this growing entertainment industry that's not stopping anytime soon. What a ride.
What a fucking
You know what I mean? What a ride. Number 4, EA is looking at free-to-play shooters. This is from IGN's Nick Santangelo. With Fortnite continuing to dominate the gaming world and making Epic Games billions of dollars, another publisher is now thinking about jumping into the Battle Royale market, which could be worth $20 billion in 2019. During its investor call for Q1 FY, that's fiscal year 2019, Electronic Arts talked about the possibility of making a free-to-play Battle Royale game of its own. The topic came about when Electronic Arts COO and CFO Blake Jorgensen was asked if Battlefield 5's Battle Royale mode, dubbed Battlefield Royale, might be spun off into a separate free-to-play product. Jorgensen shot down the idea, saying Battlefield Royale was no different than any other mode in Battlefield 5. Continuing, however, he implied that a separate standalone battle shooter from EA is a possibility. Quote, I would say we're interested in possibly experimenting with an essentially free-to-play standalone game that might be in a shooter genre or another genre. But I don't think that's how we're looking at Battlefield stuff right now, said Jorgensen. But you'll see more to come on that in the coming months and years.
An essentially free-to-play standalone game.
Essentially.
Fun words.
Yeah, exactly. They'll have a battle pass. They'll have everything else in there.
This is the type of news that's like, duh.
Yeah.
Like EA might be looking at doing a thing that's going to be really successful and make them a lot of money.
Will it, you think? You will still be? I mean, that's the thing is, how many more people can run to this? The Gold Rush.
The thing with the Gold Rush is you don't need to be number one.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to make the most money. If they make money, they're good. And I definitely think that EA has the ability to make money, more than enough to make it worth the investment. We saw it with Fortnite compared to PUBG, where, PUBG, was growing its team and learning and stuff, whereas Fortnite came in, had a team. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
EA has teams. They have more than enough teams to just assign whoever, hey, get this going.
See what happens. Spin it up, see what goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll take down Fortnite. I don't think there's a chance. I don't think it'll even come close to PUBG currently, but I don't think it needs to. And EA has proven that they see the dollar signs and they know what they need to hit to get what they need out of things.
Well, we'll see in 2019 how many more battle royales we get. But Tim, that is so far away. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to know what came to the digital mom and grop shops today, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show host each and every weekday.
Yeah, that's my boy, Big Kev Dog over there, helping me out a little bit. Out today, the season finale of The Dark Side Detective releases on PC, so if you want to get on that, go for it. Then Final Night, The Prison comes to Switch. Element comes to Switch. Go Vacation comes to Switch.
Go Vacation.
And Hello Neighbor comes to PlayStation 4 and Switch. Do you know Hello Neighbor?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a scary game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I was hoping for like a Mr. Rogers game.
No.
No?
Your neighbor's trying to murder you.
Oh, no.
Hide.
Remember when that neighbor kept leaving dog poop on your car?
Yeah, I do. That was fucked up.
New dates for you. Yeah, jeez. Taiko no Tatsujin Drum and Fun for Nintendo Switch and Taiko no Tatsujin Drum Session. Yeah, are coming for comes to PlayStation 4, and they're going to be available on November 2nd, 2018. So the Switch one is Drum and Fun, PlayStation 4 is Drum Session, both November 2nd, 2018. The Occupation comes to Xbox One on October 9th. Then Vampire or Vampire or whatever the hell you want to call it is getting a story mode that de-emphasizes combat and a cranked up, more challenging hard mode this summer. And Super Life of Pixel comes to PlayStation 4 on August 22nd. Tim, It's time for Reader Mail.
Yes, it is.
But first, I'm going to tell you it's brought to you by two lovely sponsors. The first being Hims. There's a problem. 66% of men lose their hair by the age 35. And the thing is, when you start to notice hair loss, it's too late. Do something with 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness, and more for men. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. Well-known generic equivalents to name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. Right now, on the other side of that wall, Andy Cortez and Nick Scarpino are using Hims. They sent in photos of their hairline to a doctor. Doctor sent back the thing saying this, that, the other. Then they got him on some stuff, and now Andy eats these hair loss gummies that he just loves too much. He's very excited about them. You can get your own gummies. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Order now. My listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 right now while supplies last. See the website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to 4hims.com/gamesdaily. That's FORHIMS.com/gamesdaily. 4hims.com/gamesdaily. And then it's MeUndies. How many times we got to tell you? Tim, you wearing your MeUndies right now?
Of course I am. I'm wearing just some clean ones right now. They're just purple. Just purple.
Oh, just perps?
Perps.
I don't know what I put on.
I thought you just meant you.
Yeah, I meant like he thought he's wearing ones that I'm wearing. Oh, I'm wearing the Panda Bears. I got Panda Bears
them
today.
pandas?
I love MeUndies, as you all know. I bought my first thing of MeUndies. Said they were so good. Threw away the rest of my underwear. Bought more MeUndies.
Me too.
MeUndies, of course, lets you go online. You pick the style. You pick the colors if you want to. You just get a variety pack. And then they ship underwear straight to your door that are the softest, bestest underwear in the world. I say it because I'm wearing them right now and I love them. If you're already part of the MeUndies fam, you can tell your friends about it through their referral program. They'll get a discount and you'll get store credit. It's win-win. And of course, there's a 100% satisfaction guarantee where they will send you your money back if you don't like them.
I can't imagine not liking them.
Me either. Still not sure? Well, MeUndies has a deal for my listeners. First-time purchasers get 15% off their first pair of MeUndies and free shipping. That's 15% off plus free shipping and a guarantee that you and your MeUndies will be very happy together. Get your butt over to MeUndies.com and treat yourself to get 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Go to MeUndies.com/gamesdaily. That's MeUndies.com/gamesdaily. Slash. What if Slash then came in? He's like, yeah, MeUndies, man.
Dude,
Did he have a
MeUndies.
guitar on?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he would. Nobody knows he's Slash if he doesn't have a top hat and a guitar. So while you've been gone,
Since I've been gone.
great jam, Kelly Clarkson.
Great jam, man, dude.
Fortnite and Game of the Year have been a hot topic on Kind of Funny Games Daily.
Okay. So I've seen this in the Reddits and stuff. Is it only because you guys had a conversation about this, or is this leading off of some article
We've been
or
having
something?
conversations about it. Yeah, that's all.
Cool.
So of course this has spawned a lot of questions in Reddit threads and other things, but I ignore the Reddit threads because it's not on Kind of Funny Games Daily, and if I can't make it into content, I'm kidding. I don't ignore the thread. You know that. Anyways, RealSpoons writes in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, referring back to the episode on July 25th, where Greg discussed with Jared about Fortnite potentially being a Game of the Year contender. Do you think a game that isn't still in early access should be able to win Game of the Year? Personally, it baffled me that PUBG was in the running for it last year when it's not even a complete game yet. I understand that Fortnite has a lot of popularity and it's very polished, but it's technically still in early access. My thought is that a Game of the Year should only be awarded to games that are complete, such as God is War. I love God of War. Would love to know your thoughts on this. Thanks.
I am baffled, Greg.
Yeah.
By how much people care about the official rules of a Game of the Year. And the reason for that being, it doesn't exist. Game of the Year is not a thing that like actually is real.
Right.
Groups of people decide that they're going to
What's our favorite toy?
give an award to the best game of the year. All of those people have their own personal favorite game of the year. RealSpoons included.
Yeah.
Christian Nava included. Will, all these people.
If you heard your name, it means you made it to the list. Will your question get read?
You're
Who
on
knows?
the list. They all have their own game of the years. I have my game of the year. You have your game of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe each one of us is kind of tussling back and forth
Yeah.
between what is this, what is that. It's like adding your own caveats and stuff. But then you get all those people together, and they get to have that conversation of one person arguing, oh, it's early access, so it doesn't count. The other person saying, well, I think it is because it is the conversation of the year. And then you kind of work through it, and whatever IGN's process is, kind of Funny's process, GameStop, whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
And then they come up down to a conclusion. And there's not just one game of the year. No matter what happens, there's never a game, like at the end of the year, no one gets awarded the game of the year.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of game of the year awards, and you'll see probably every game that deserves it, quote unquote, will get an award from somebody, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, yeah, this is literally what Gary and I were talking about yesterday in terms of you have to decide what the labels mean to you and what the criteria are for you. For me, it says it's in early access. It says it's in beta. That's bullshit. People are spending a ton of money on it. They're playing the game. You are playing the game. One day, yes, they're going to remove early access from it like they did with PUBG, and it's not going to fucking really matter. Like, the game's being played. It is a thing that is happening. I think it's, again, sites or personalities or YouTube channels that have rigid guidelines, right? Like, I know for Giant Bomb last year, it was a big deal that, oh, fuck, they just announced they're removing the beta tag from PUBG, like, on December 15th or whatever. So they had to consider it for Game of the Year in a very different way than they were about to, because they thought they got the free pass. Because for them, early access beta doesn't count. Whereas for me, I don't think that holds water. It's a game that's out, people are playing, and they're putting money into it. It counts for me. But again, to your point, to my point from yesterday,
Giant Bomb
that's to
says
me.
it doesn't.
Exactly,
So,
right? For all our made up awards and, this evolving industry, what are you going to do? Now, here's an interesting one. Christian Nava writes in to kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, maybe there shouldn't be a Game of the Year award anymore, right? Listening to you and Gary yesterday got me thinking, perhaps we should stop treating games like movies and maybe treat them a bit more like TV shows during the awards season at the end of the year. My point is, a TV show can win an Emmy years after its first season aired, and that's perfectly fine. Also, there are awards for best drama, best comedy, best reality show, etc., but there's no single one award to rule them all like the Oscars best movie. In other words, let's stick to awarding genres and achievements in areas like writing and voice acting, but ditch the much controversial Game of the Year award. Does that make sense? What are your thoughts? Sorry for the rant. Love from Spain, Chris.
I just don't think video games have an Emmys even, or definitely don't have an Oscars.
You don't think we have an Oscars? You don't think the Game Awards are the Oscars?
I think the Game Awards is the closest thing, but I also feel, and I love the Game Awards. I really do. I think it's super important. I love the production. I love the importance and the way that they I love their process to decide who wins awards. I think it's great. But having said that, I mean, it's not the Oscars. It's not, and it's definitely not even the Emmys. And
I believe somebody said fuck the Oscars. So
he did. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think we'll ever get to a point that there is that one award that matters more than all the others. Yes, there are other movie award shows and processes, but the Oscars are what matter the most, right? And Emmys, I'd say, are the same thing for TV. So
I don't think you need to ditch Game of the Year award. I think, or Game of the Year awards. I think you need to, what we're talking about is understand where you're going and getting your award information from. And that, somebody's going to give Fortnite Game of the Year this year, and it's going to be like, what? But who cares? Because it's their thing. And then Giant Bomb's going to say, no, that came out last, or still in early access. Then Jeff's Game Awards are going to go. I would argue, and I mean, I understand you're saying it's not there yet or whatever, that the Game Awards are the Oscars. I think they are our industry's Oscars, and I think that comparing them to what you see as the Oscars now is unfair, because of course the Oscars are what they just did Oscars 60, like, you know what I mean? Like,
and you're right, but my argument against that is you go to a Blockbuster.
Yeah, you sure do. You sure do.
And you go to whatever the fuck, Best Buy, Target, and you look at movies, and it's like on the box, it'll be like Oscar award winning.
Yeah.
Like
Academy Award nominated.
Academy Award nominated, winning, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You go to a Best Buy game section, and it's Game of the Year edition for 20 different games. Game of the Year this, Game of the Year that. The Game Awards has no more prestige than IGN, has no more prestige than
That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take. I agree. Of course, though.
And I don't think that'll change.
We all know the biggest awards of the year, the DICE Awards, because they're hosted by me and Jess. So let's just call a spade a spade.
And then there's the DICE Awards, and it's like that's a whole other.
That's an industry inclusive award, right? That I feel like that. What's cool about I think like DICE and Game Awards exist in different realms in a different way because DICE is all the developers voting, right? And so it's like a cool pat on the back. It would be like if inside of video games, journalism, press, whatever the fuck you want to call this, personalities, we had our own awards thing, right? Where we all voted and we're like, oh man, like best site of the year, best video, you know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, that means a lot because it's coming from people who are my peers and stuff. Whereas if you were to go the opposite way and have a thing voted by fans, that'd be cool because they're the consumers.
Yep.
Tim, where do I want to take you now?
Take
Where
me
do I
to a
wanna
good
take you?
place,
Here we go.
Greg.
Brandon had an interesting one, I thought. Probably Brandon Jones. He's a big fan. Brandon Jones from Easy Allies writes into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, what up, Greg and Tim and Kevin?
Hey, dude, what's up?
He wants me to wait for you to respond. With Konami recently releasing Metal Gear Solid 5 update with Quiet and now announcing a Metal Gear Solid 4 mission coming to Metal Gear Survive, are they trying to win fans back? Is it a little too late? Personally, I didn't like Survive from the beta and I already platinum Metal Gear Solid 5. Parentheses, where you at with that one, Greg? Ha! And parentheses. So I won't get into either of them. Only thing that would get me hyped is a Gamescom announcement that they're remaking 1 through 4 on Fox Engine, but that never happened. What are your thoughts, guys? Sorry for the long question. Enjoy your weekend, Brandon Jones from Easy Allies. I think what they're doing is smartly testing the waters and taking their lumps on things that I'm not going to say don't matter, but don't matter as much as, hey, we're doing a new Metal Gear, we're remaking a Metal Gear, or whatever. They got it. If you're going to pop up after everything that's happened, you're going to take your lumps and you're going to get yelled at and people are going to be mad. But the more you do it, the more you come out of your gopher hole and get bopped on the head with the big mallet, the less people are bopping you on the head each time. And so it was, here's Survive. What the fuck is that? And they didn't even like really do a huge campaign with that. That was like, here's this thing, right? Here's Quiet and Metal Gear Solid 5. Here's and forward operating basis. Here's a Metal Gear Solid 4 mission. It's getting you used to, you the consumer, me the consumer, getting used to the fact that guess what? There is more Metal Gear coming. We are making more Metal Gear and we're going to slowly wean you off the hate train.
Yeah, you're right.
I am right. Thanks.
I do think there's they're handling this poorly, not surprisingly. But I think the Metal Gear Solid 5 update with Quiet, that's a good step. Adding Metal Gear Solid 4 stuff to Survive, that's a bad step. Doing the gopher hole thing is great if it's taking steps in like a
positive direction.
Little tiny, let's align with the things people
What don't you like about the Metal Gear Solid 4 stuff?
But the Survive stuff. It's like people don't like Survive. Stop
Sure.
aligning with it. Like don't do cool things with the thing people don't like.
Okay.
Let it die. It's dead. You know, like people, if you're trying to win people back, it's not the people playing Survive. They're won back. Right?
Okay. Good point.
So trying to get people that have left to get back, I don't think that, hey, that thing you don't like, give it another shot. It's like, no, come out and do something like the MGS5 update. That I do think is cool.
Okay.
Do more things like that.
Okay.
Keep it going. And yeah.
Invest time and resources into the things people already like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know. I'm very interested to see what Konami does next with Metal Gear. It's going to be something. They're not going to let it die.
No.
But when? How? So many weird. I mean, obviously, we know it's a weird fucking story, but like, it's still weird. Like Smash Brothers Ultimate, Snake's back, David Hayter's back as a voice actor.
And another thing, taking your lumps there, and at the positive thing, people love David and they love Smash.
The Snake's logo changed. It's no longer the Foxhound logo.
What is it?
Now it's an exclamation point. Huh. And it's like, why? Like it's obvious that they're like Kojima Productions. They're like, oh, we don't want to have that. But like, there's still such weird fucking shit going on.
Interesting. Tim, we're going to go to Austin's question. I assume Austin Walker from Waypoint, another big fan of the show, wrote into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, do games today need regularly updated review scores to remain accurate and relevant? This is something that has bothered me for a while now and comes to the top of my mind with the recent big update to No Man's Sky. Game review scores, more and more often now, do not represent the game in its current form. I have a huge pile of shame in my backlog, hence I usually like to wait a while for sales and updates before picking up new games. This sometimes could be a year or more after the initial release. The scores I find for these games and the reviews often may be misleading by that time, possibly resulting in me overlooking one of the games that I just started. Overlooking one game that started out good but ended great. Rainbow Six Siege, Final Fantasy 15, Destiny, Division, just to name a few.
Final Fantasy 14.
Love to hear your thoughts on how games media can handle the increasing workload with more great games than ever, while older games continue to evolve, making the initial review obsolete. Thanks for all you do and have a great summer break. Austin Walker from Waypoint.
I think it's a chicken and the egg situation where not every game needs to be the review updated when there's patches or like DLC added and like eventually DLC is free and this and that. Like that doesn't necessarily need it.
Yeah.
But if people are searching for it, if people are looking for it, and if there is an enticing reason for games media to go back and invest the time when there is so much new stuff coming out to re-review something, No Man's Sky is a perfect example, then I think that it will happen. And we've been seeing that happening. And again, Final Fantasy 14, great example of that, where that game was re-reviewed by all the major sites.
Yeah, because it was like relaunched, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a different game by the end of it. Yeah.
So.
I think that for the most part, game reviews are irrelevant after a few months, right? Game reviews are meant to be, and I think that game reviews are the precursor, obviously, to podcasts and everything else and discussions, right? And in the same way that when, a game drops and we are playing it initially and we talk about it on Gamescast, that is the same way I think the review is valuable in terms of it's just a written format of that, of like, here's what I think of this game at launch, and I'm going to review and put a score on it. This combines with your thought that I don't think everything needs to go back and be re-reviewed. I think that when Destiny drops a giant content update, you should go read the impressions on that, the review of that, and see how that does it. When No Man's Sky comes out and changes everything, that Final Fantasy, sure, those are newsworthy items that are worthy of the re-review in quotes, but not even the re-review because it's talking about it now.
Yeah.
Like you just can't trust any article about any game, even when, because it's like, what do you do when in the old days when you would say, oh my God, this game did this, did that, and it ate my save or ate this or whatever, and then like they patch that in 3 months later, you know what I mean, or patch it out a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
Like already that review's obsolete.
Yeah, everybody has their own situations and buys games, plays games differently.
Yeah.
But I feel like this whole people reading reviews for year-old games, the people that are doing that are probably the same people that are not necessarily wondering, should I play Destiny 2? Googling Destiny 2 review.
Yeah.
They're like writing Destiny 2 into Google, it pops up, and then we'll see it on top 25 PS4 game lists or whatever it is. And those snippets are usually more up to date.
And it's
like, here's where it
the
at.
community,
when it launched, it had its problems.
Right?
Blah, 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 blah.
And that's the thing is, I think it's the same thing, when we were at IGN and when we were getting ready to leave IGN, it was I guess not even when we were leaving, but years before when it was that coming to terms with, man, people aren't going to IGN.com anymore. They're going to the articles they find interesting that they see on Facebook, that they see on Twitter, that they, you know what I mean? Like
Wikis.
People are getting, and that's the thing, like, right? When I, with Fortnite in my ongoing obsession, when I want to do the challenges or I want to know where the treasure maps are, right? I just put in Fortnite IGN, which drops me the first result being the wiki over on IGN, where I can just go through and run through that. And now, granted, I already know that I like the game, but I feel like, especially if you're listening to a show like Kind of Funny Games Daily, you're going to know without the review if a game's turned it around. You know what I mean? You're going to hear us talk about how, yo, man, Destiny is better, isn't better, from Andrea talking about that.
Rainbow Six.
Huh?
Rainbow
Six.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it makes the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's enough scuttlebutt out there to figure it out without having to go back to an ancient review. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to squad up. This is where one of you writes in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD. Give me your name, username, platform of choice, and why you need help in a video game. I read it here. The best friends come and find you, and everybody plays games together. Today, Carl needs help on PlayStation 4. Carl's PSN name, Carl's PlayStation Network name is Theyliveoz. So Theyliveoz. All one word, of course. I finally took the plunge and started playing Fortnite and asked my nephews to help me. After being mocked and teased for a couple of hours by those beloved punks, I retreated hurt. But now, I was hoping to team up with some of the Kind of Funny best friends to help teach me the basics, so I can eventually crush my nephews. I play mainly at nighttime and am based in Sydney, Australia. Oh, yeah. And any help would be great. Thanks again for all the hard work and content. Cheers, Carl. Cheers to you, Carl. Everybody hit up PSN name, Theyliveoz. Maybe one day PlayStation will release you from your PlayStation 4 Fortnite prison and I can play with you as well, Carl. But until then, no, we're all thinking about you out here with our cross-play and cross-progression. Carl. Tim?
Yes.
We ask people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up. What do we screw up today?
Nick Shafini says, hey, Greg.
Hi.
All week, you and the other KF members have been telling us there's no live shows next week. Well, stop that. If the slackers out there would only up their Patreon support, they'd get technically 4 live shows. The pre and post shows of GOG and Gamescast. So open those wallets, you turds. Thanks for everything y'all do. It's true. It's true. For just $1 on either patreon.com/kindoffunny or patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, you can watch Gamescast live or GOG live.
That is actually a good point. If you're jonesing for us next week, we'll be recording. You can catch it on Patreon.
Drippy Eye says, pardon my French, but Cameron is so tight. If you stuck a lump of coal up his ass in 2 weeks, you'd have a diamond.
There it is.
That is the quote. Ignacio Rojas says, latest Oscars was the 90th.
Oh my gosh, thank you very much.
And that's it.
Oh, not too bad. All right.
We fucking nailed it on the video game front.
Crushed it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Remember, each and every weekday, except for next week, it's summer break, where we are still coming into work and just doing different kinds of work before going to RTX. You can catch it.
It's like in school when they fucking gave you summer break and then gave you reading lists.
I fucking hated that
Fuck
shit.
you guys.
Yeah.
And we're them. We're the guys assigning us more work.
Fucking us. Fuck us. You know what I mean? Remember, you can watch the show live, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. You can watch it later, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. You can listen on podcast services around the globe, no matter where you get the show. Thank you. If you are jonesing for us, I've seen a lot of kids on the Reddit. It's going to be a hard week without us next week. I get it. Remember, Game Over Greg's show, the Gamescast. Lots of great stuff there. One-off stuff's gone up there. Greg's Comic Book Club over on patreon.com/kindoffunny for $1. Greg's, no, that's not right. Ask Gamescast anything on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames for just $1. Remember, Party Mode's over there. The PlayStation VR show. We did a bunch of stuff. I assure you, you didn't watch because I've seen numbers. That's it. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.